Hey everybody, it's time for the Make Peace with Life Shortcast of the week, where we give you some great topics to talk about, to think about, and to make your life a little bit happier, a little bit more fun, a little bit more energized, a lot of things. So let's get into this show today. We've got a great show. It is called "Why Is Life So Messy?" Why is our life so messy? And you might think, well, my life's not messy. And that's probably true for most of us. We're not super messy in that sense as far as our life goes. But even the most organized person has some mess in their life. Something doesn't go right. Something is crazy. Something is just off, causing stress or things like that. But life is designed to be messy. People have messy lives, and there's all kinds of different messes that we can have in our life. We can't expect our life to be neat. And you might ask, well, why can't we? Why can't we expect our life to be neat? Because we need the mess to show we're living. Think about it. Anything that you create, anything that you do, usually leaves a mess behind. Now you have to clean it up. That's the way it works. But think about all the things in this world. Okay, let's start with nature. Nature, one of the most beautiful things in the world, but it's messy. It's not straight lines. It's not, when you go into the forest, the trees aren't lined up so you can just walk down a row of trees. They're here, there, everywhere. They're messy in that sense. Same way, rock formations. You go out to see the sandstone sculptures out in Utah and things like that. They've been designed. They've been being built for millions of years, but they're not perfect. They're not like straight lines and everything. We think of man-made stuff with buildings and things like the pyramids and stuff that man-made, and they are straight, but they're not always perfectly straight. There's usually a little bit of variation in there, and that's where the messy part of life comes in. It gives us a little bit of variation into our lives, so we have to go around things. One of the greatest things as I'm thinking about this, they've just built a new sidewalk down our street where I live. It's great, it's wide, it's perfect for bike rides and stuff, but there are telephone poles or light poles, whatever you want to call them, energy poles, whatever they are, whatever. There's, every so often, like in normal, but instead of moving the sidewalk over to just have it a straight path, they went around every light pole. So there's a little jut and a roundabout. So I haven't figured out who was the planner in that, but it's messy. But it's also interesting because now, as I've been writing it for a few weeks, I've started to see that there's if you stay to one side, you can kind of avoid having to go out and around every time, and you can ride more of a straight path. But it's messy. It's not clear cut. It's not a straight line. People have to zigzag around. Some people just walk straight and don't worry about staying on the sidewalk. It's messy, but it's life. It's the way life works, and I think that's the beautiful part of messes is they show that there's life happening. I remember one of the greatest things I've ever been told is that, don't worry about messes. That means life is going on. A messy house is a lived-in house. A non-messy house is a museum to where nobody's doing anything. You're not allowed to touch anything or anything, but a little bit of mess is good. And I'm not saying keep your house filthy. I'm saying let there be messes. I mean, you should see my computer area. When I'm working, there's a notebook here, there's pens here, there's another notebook here, there's, I have another section of notes over on the table. I have another folder over here. It's messy, but it's productive. It keeps all my stuff there. Life is happening in that area. When I'm planning out these podcasts, when I'm planning out writing a book, when I'm doing anything, planning a trip, there is mess, and mess leads to the great things in life. It shows that you're working towards something in life, and I think that's where we get confused, that we have to be neat and tidy. To me, that just means you're stopping, you're giving up, because I think of being neat and tidying up messes as like the end of the day. You're getting ready to go home, you're getting ready to stop working, and I think a mess says life's going on, life's happening, life's going to keep us going there. Again, we have to clean up our messes from time to time. We have to get there, and we have to make our space livable, pick up our junk. You got company coming over. You don't want all your notes from your podcast laying all over the place or anything. But tidy up, yes. But don't be afraid to make a mess as you're working on something, as you're building something, as you're getting something rolling. Don't be afraid of that. Use that adage that a messy house is not, or a messy house is lived in. A non-messy house is a museum. You don't want a museum where you can't touch anything, to where you can't get anything out of place, that you have to be so neat that you're afraid you're going to disrupt something, because you can't really create or be a human being in that sense if you're too worried about tidying up after you get done. But things are messy. Everything in our lives are messy. Relationships are messy. Who's had a relationship that just took off perfectly and lasted forever and been perfect? That's a rarity. Our jobs are not perfect. I mean, we have strife there. We go into work. This has happened, or they call you on your day off, say, oh my God, this has happened. What do we do? Things like that. Success is not neat. Success is messy. Show me anybody that has ever worked on something new or something wonderful that ended up being wonderful, that didn't have some mess around it, that they didn't have things laying around, that they didn't, that everything was neat and tidy. Again, a mess means there's life happening, that somebody is living there, that something is going on. So embrace the mess. Make peace with the mess. Be at one with the mess. Doesn't mean you don't clean it up, but while you're creating, be messy. Be a little messy. Let the creativity flow. Spread out your papers. Spread out your desk. Work the way you want to, and make peace with life. So that is a big thing of making peace with life, is to embrace the mess as we go forward here. So I love the mess. I'm not a messy person. My house is pretty clean, but at times I spread stuff out because I want to be working on several things at every time. And I think on one of the podcasts earlier on, we talked about how I'm a multitasker, and multitaskers are notorious for making messes. They probably have the messiest desks. They have everything setting out because they're not going to go in order. I'm going to get this done, and I'll put it away. I'm going to get this done, then I'll put it away. No, we're working on several different things at the same time, and they've got to be out. The best part is we know where they're at. If you guys would look at the desktop of my computer, you would think that I'm a psychopath, or that I'm crazy, and I might be a little bit, but I have files here and files there because I don't want to search for them. They're all stuck on my desktop until I don't need them anymore, and then I put them away. But that's the way I work. I love the life of creating that messy situation to get to the ultimate end that we're in. So let's talk about a cook. Cooks are messy. When they're creating in the kitchen, their flour, and so now they clean up after they get done. But while they're working, it's going to be a mess. There's going to be stuff getting chopped up. There's going to be, stuff on the floor. There's going to be spills. There's going to be flour everywhere. Those type of things. Embrace that mess. Embrace that mess. Okay, that's the shortcast for today. My shortcasts are getting longer and longer, so I got to watch that, or else I'm going to have to stop calling them the shortcast. So one thing we need to do our energy pool, fill up our energy pool so that people that are here with the great positive energy, as most of you are going to fill up that pool, so that if there's anybody out there that needs a little help, needs a little assistance, needs a boost up, needs a little help dealing with their mess, they can come in and dip in and get that energy and take that with them. Again, our positive energy is a renewable resource. It can be created. It can't be destroyed, but it can be created. So we're creating more and more all the time. And you can do it. But sometimes when we're in a down spot, we don't feel like we can, and we need assistance. And that's what we're here. This community is here to help people grow, to help people have fun, to help people live. So we're going to be quiet for a few seconds, fill up that energy pool, and allow people to take out that energy that they like to get. So let's do that right now. Filling up that energy pool. You can actually hear energy filling. Now, those of you that need that energy, freely take what you need. We are here for you. We are all family. We are all in the same cosmic family. Take what you need and enjoy it. All right, everybody, that's the Shortcast for today. I hope you go out there, make some messes, get some clarity in your life, make peace with life, and I will be back again with another podcast or Shortcast later on this week. So, as always, make peace with life, my friends.